Okay, so if everybody can have your Student Success Handbook out, it's the one with the spiral. We will be going over everything in this handbook and what it means to be a Sac State student, all of like the rules and like regulations, everything different from wherever it was you may have transferred from. So we will be going fairly quickly, but of course you can ask any questions at any time. Of course, I will slow down on like the very like important things to know, those kind of things. But yeah, at any moment you can ask a question. It doesn't even have to be about what we're talking about. Like if it was like a couple pages back and you're like, oh, I just remembered something, you can stop me. At any point of the day, really, you can stop me. If at any point I'm just like, hey, we'll get back to that at a different time, please don't take it personally. We will get back to it at a different time. If I don't get back to it, then you can get angry with me. But there are a few things that you will hear about later on, like in your major advising or later on in the presentation. So I might just be like, hold that question. Okay, so we can get started.
So first things first, on the very back of the front cover, you'll see there is a campus map there. Our campus app also has a map. For me, I'm more of a pencil and paper kind of girl, so this one works better for me. If you do get lost today, I don't intend on losing you, but if you get lost today, please return to the University Union. That's the building we're in right now. And then there's a table of contents. Y'all are in college, so I know you know how to read.
But now turning over that very hard flap cover, we're actually going to get into like the nitty gritty of the handbook. You should see this pie chart and the title of it saying what makes up a college degree.
And again, if you did the online orientation, this should be looking pretty familiar. So if this circle represents your degree is composed of 120 units. Okay, your degree is 120 units. It's separated into 3 different parts.
Okay, so here's the pie chart. It's there on page 6, but I just like explaining it here. 120 units split up into 3 categories. The first category is general education, and I'm going to be writing that throughout the day as GE. So if I say GE, that just means general education. So GE, general education, is one category. Major is the second, as you can see right there on page 6. And then elective is the very last category. All right. And then here's the breakdown. In general ed, we require that you complete 48 units, right? 39 of which are lower division, and 9 are upper division.
Lower division are going to be your freshman and sophomore level courses. Anything you took at a community college is considered lower division. At Sac State, we make it really easy to denote this. Courses 1 through 99. So Bio 1 is lower division. Y'all following along? We have 9 units of upper division that are required, equating to about 3 general education courses. These are courses numbered 100 through 199. So Bio 100 will be an upper division course. These are the 3 GEs Mary was talking about this morning, okay? In GE, you have a total of 48 units. Your major units is different for every single major and different for each concentration. So if we flip over to pages 8 and 9, you'll see this is a spread of our different colleges within our university. A college is just a group of similar majors, okay?
Your major is a range of 63 to 72 units.
Oh.
So major unit. You can all write that in on your handbook. Majors have different concentrations. Business has a few, so depending on your concentration, depends on how many units you take. So let's do some math. If you do 48 and 63 together, you should get 111. And so if you have 111 units, can you graduate quite yet? No, you're missing those 9 units. And where do those 9 units go?
That's where elective comes in, this third spot, right? This is my favorite spot. The elective category is really any classes that you take to pad your unit count up to 120. This could be a minor, this could be another major, whatever you want, any classes that you take to pad your unit count up so you can graduate. If you're transferring any courses from a JC or another community college that don't meet our general education or the courses for your major, they will go in elective.
If you came from another 4-year institution, you can transfer as many units as you want over to our school. If you came from community college, that unit count is capped at 70. Sounds good? Okay, and you do need to complete 30 units in residence at our school. That means you can't come in with 119 units, take a 1-unit PE class, and graduate from our school. Does that make sense? Okay, any questions so far? Awesome, so who would like to get out of this school and graduate as soon as possible? That should be everybody, because I would like to do that. I would like to do that for you. How we do that is by taking 30 units per academic year. That's on this page here. That's an initiative called Through Into. Ideally, if you're coming in as a junior, you should finish out your junior year, your senior year, and then graduate.
So whether that be 15 units in the fall, 15 units in the spring, or like 15 in the fall, 3 in summer, 12 in spring, as long as you take 30 units in a year, you're abiding by the first commitment. The second commitment is keeping at least a 2.0 GPA and above. And then the third commitment is meeting with an advisor at least once a semester. But those are the 3 commitments to this pledge. The 2 benefits from this pledge are you get priority registration over anyone who doesn't sign the pledge. Also, summer school grants for students who are on the pledge. The biggest part to the pledge is that there's absolutely no downside for signing it and then not being able to commit later on. So if you sign it today and you're just like, I'll just sign it, and then later on, maybe like in your 3rd semester, you're like, I can't keep doing this 30 units a year, it's too much. That's okay, they'll just remove you from the pledge. No penalties.
Page 10 is going to talk about academic advisors. So I've heard a lot of students refer to their advisors at, their previous institutions as counselors. Are we going to talk to a counselor today? If you mention a counselor here at Sac State, if you mention to a professor or an advisor that you want to speak to a counselor, they'll send you over to our student health services and you'll go talk to a therapist, like an actual counselor. So here at Sac State, we are academic advisors. There's 2 kinds. One of them is general education advising, so that's me. Anyone in the green polo here today is a trained, general education and graduation requirement advisor. After today, however, I am not your general education advisor anymore. The actual general education advisors in the advising center in Lassen Hall, which we'll see on tour, are going to be the people to go to.
So if you see you walking around, you're not going to say hi?
No, absolutely. You guys are the ones that aren't going to say hi. I'm going to be in line at Starbucks and you're just going to be like, trying not to look at me. In terms of your major courses, you would speak to your major advisor. They're dedicated advisors within each of the departments, each of the colleges. So you all are under the College of Business Administration. You have dedicated business advisors.
And then impaction, business is an impacted major, which means there is an expressed interest side, but since you are all been admitted into the major, you don't have to worry about that, but you probably were worrying about that earlier. But yeah, so it is an impacted major and people have to apply to get in, which you all have and you all have gotten it. And then on page 11 is our tutoring resources on campus.
We have 3 main tutoring centers. We have the math lab, which is for math. It could be a physics class, calculus, whatever. It doesn't have to be specifically math. If you're having trouble in math, you can go get help, math-related help. The other one is the writing center. Again, it doesn't have to be a specific English course. It could be any course that you're doing composition in.
And then the PART, which tutors mostly lower division classes in Lassen Hall. I will point all of those out on tour.
Okay, we're going to skip over pages 12 and 13 for right now, but for my biology majors and my physics majors in the room, I need you to cross out page 13. We're not going to be using page 13. This is the spread of general education and graduation requirements that are required for your major. So again, we're not using page 13, we're using page 12. Does that sound good? Awesome. Moving forward into page 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18, these are all the general education courses we offer at Sac State. Of course, this is not a comprehensive list. Our most comprehensive list is located online on our university catalog website. But you'll see this is neatly divided into areas A, B, C, D, etc., as well as any subdivisions that category may have. Note that there are lower division and upper division courses in each section. Lower division courses being below 100 and upper division courses being above 100. So these are really important to know about. Sounds good? Awesome. So moving forward, past pages 18 onto page 19, if you are an AP or IB scholar, make sure you send your scores to our school. Otherwise, we don't know that you have those scores in your back pocket. Sound good? And if you have any questions about how that will come over to our school, page 19 is where you want to come back to.
And okay, on page 20, you should see this colorful page of all the different boxes. I will actually be drawing on the board again for this one. So this should say your English sequence on the top. And so there are 4 different steps to the English sequence.
So I'll go ahead and start at the bottom. The first step is college composition 1. So as you can see there on page 20, it's all outlined there. Right now we're on the green part. Step 1 is college composition 1. So college composition 1, this is your English 1As, your English 5, your English 1, your basic very first English composition course at the college level. Okay, this is also a requirement to be here today. So everybody has step 1 done. So everyone's done with that. So don't worry about step 1. Step 2 is your college composition 2. This is a little iffy. Some of you most likely have it. Some of you won't. This is your college composition 2 second semester of composition. So the English 1Bs, 1Cs, it's the English 20s, the English 2s, the English, anything that is equivalent to a second semester of college composition meets this requirement, okay? And here at Sac State, it's English 20. English 20. So if you have an ADT, so an associate's degree transfer, some of you do, 2, 3 of you do have an ADT. If you're not sure if you do, let me know, I have a list here. If you have an ADT, you're exempt from this, you have completed this, okay? Otherwise, so for the rest of you, if you didn't take a second semester of college composition, if you didn't take, your English 2 or whatever, we're gonna recommend you take that one next semester. Okay, pretty simple, pretty easy.
Step 3, I'm going to separate this into 3. You have 3 options for step 3. So option A is to take the WPJ. That stands for Writing Placement for Juniors. It's a placement writing exam. You write 2 essays. Usually the second one is like a reflection on your writing or something like that. Note the dates that are coming up. You can sign up February 18th through February 28th for a March 7th exam. That's the next one coming up. Option B is a portfolio option. A portfolio is an online submission process. Are you all familiar with Canvas or any online course manager software? It'll show up on your Canvas. You submit 2 previous essays that you've written during college that have been graded, not necessarily from an English class. You'll take a survey or a reflection, and then they'll be graded and scored, similar to the WPJ. Sounds good so far? Awesome. If you're feeling like you're not quite ready to go into step 4, which I'll talk about in a minute, we have a course called English 109. We have 2 different versions of that course, and that's a preparatory writing course because step 4 is your writing intensive. A writing intensive is a writing course. Notice I'm saying writing and not English. It doesn't have to be an English course, in which you write 5,000 or more words. Okay. For me, when I took my writing intensive, it was broken up into like 3 7-page papers, so it wasn't painful at all. I took my writing intensive out of ethnic studies. There are people who take it out of all these different kinds of majors. Does that sound good? Awesome. So the WPJ can get you to your writing intensive, so can your portfolio, and so can English 109. A note about English 109 is that this is a semester-long course, so you have to spend a whole semester before you can get into your writing intensive. Does that sound good?
Another awesome thing is that if you see on page 21, most writing intensives, most writing intensives are also general education classes. So remember those 9 units that we do require of upper division? One of those 3 classes will be your writing intensive course. So as you can see there on page 21, it lists, kind of like pages 14 through 18, all of the courses in their areas. And again, these are all writing intensive courses. You'll have to do all these steps to be able to take them. But at that point, you can pick your area. And only if you're one of these majors, you have one of these classes down in the green box, will your writing intensive not count as general education. So for example, I'm a geography student. We have to take Geography 190, which is our senior seminar, our very last semester.
Let's go ahead and talk about foreign language while we're here. You can satisfy your foreign language in a couple of ways. If you're fluent in a language other than English, you can test out of it in our foreign language department. That's that bolded one there, Mariposa 2051. If you completed 2 semesters at your previous institutions, for example, Spanish 1 and 2, if you passed AP or IB foreign language exams, if you did 3 years in high school of the same foreign language with a C or better, so for myself, I did 3 years of Spanish in high school with a C or better. So all you have to do is send your high school transcripts to us because we didn't ask for those when you applied to this school, okay? And do it sooner rather than later. I waited until my very last semester and it was kind of stressful. So do it sooner rather than later.
Study abroad. They will have a table at lunch if you want to study abroad. They have programs for like almost every major, so like you can definitely talk to them about them, pick their brains about studying abroad.
Page 23 is your race and ethnicity requirement. This is going to be a requirement where you take a course which compares or contrasts two or more ethnic groups within American society. Mine was U.S. history. It was 17A, history from 1607 to 1788. So it was all like the Native American interaction, slavery, Revolutionary War. So throughout that class, we compared and contrast two or more ethnic groups within American society. So I had that requirement done. A lot of you will already have this requirement done, especially if you went to Los Rios. A lot of classes from the Los Rios have this requirement done. And again, we can double check with our information to see if you've already done that. And if not, no issues, we can double, triple stack requirements into those upper division courses, those general ed courses that you need. Page 24 and 25 talk about, 24 mainly, is placement exams for math. You will need math as a business student. The two main math courses you need as prerequisites to your lower division courses is Math 24, which is Modern Business Mathematics, and Stats 1, which is Introductory Statistics. If you have not taken either Stats, Intro to Stats, not Psych Stats, Intro to Stats at a community college, and Business Calculus, which is like the equivalent at community colleges, you have to take those here.
So if you have not taken either one of these courses, you'll need to take something called the ALEX PPL. That's a math placement test. It is kind of an involved process, so I'm going to go into that. If you have any questions about what I'm about to say, please make sure that you know that there's a lunch table with the math department sitting there, so you need to go ask them if you have any additional questions. Does that sound good? Awesome. So ALEX PPL, this is an online placement test. Step 1 is you have to make an account, so sign up. 2 is you need to take a practice exam. Taking this practice exam will give you a what-if score, okay? And that what-if score would be, what if I didn't study for this test and I just took it, okay? Your what-if score will dictate practice modules. You need to practice for 3 hours. Your practice modules are things that you know, but you just have forgotten about. For myself, when I took this exam, I forgot everything about trigonometry. So my practice was all about trigonometry. And it was like, okay, well, I know it. It's just kind of in the back of my head. So the practice modules are there to bring that to the forefront of your mind. Does that make sense? So then, step 4 is the proctored exam. And that gives you your actual score. Proctored means somebody's watching you take the exam. You can do that on campus or online. Your proctored exam will give you a score, okay? And it will tell you what score you need for Stat 1 and what score you need for Math 26A. And again, statistics and calculus for life sciences. Does that sound good so far? Does that make sense? And again, know that this is an involved process. This takes about 3 days because there is a waiting period after you do this step here, okay? So please make sure that if you have not done this, you are starting this as soon as you can, preferably tonight after orientation. Yes, any questions? Okay, I know it's a lot, so if you need to let it marinate for a couple of minutes, we can come back to it later. Sounds good? Awesome.
And then chemistry placement, it's like kind of the same story, but unless you're minoring in chemistry or switching your major to chemistry, you don't really have to worry about the chemistry placement. If you do want to worry about it, you can talk to me about that. I'm a chemistry minor. Yeah, not as cool as business stuff. Okay, on page 25, which is grade point averages, you will all have a term GPA, which is just like your GPA of the term. You will all have a Sac State GPA. So that is all your classes that were taken at Sac State. So it doesn't carry any of your transfer credit, any of your other colleges, just Sac State GPA. So they also look at Sac State GPA for your Dean's Honors List. So if you haven't taken any classes at Sac State yet, and you have a clean slate, you can still get any honors list that you like.
We do have plus-minus grades at Sac State. That's in that top green box there. Note that an A is different than an A-, okay? Same with a C- while passing. If you get straight C- for a whole semester, that will put you at a 1.7 GPA, and that puts you on academic probation, okay? I know that since a lot of you are intending on going to other experiences beyond your bachelor's degree, that you're aiming for those A's and B's, but just know about that C- situation, okay? As far as grading policies, who's heard of a W grade? Like a withdraw? That's when you drop after the drop date, and that doesn't weight in your GPA at all. However, here at Sac State, we have a grade called WU. It's an unauthorized withdraw. That's kind of when you just Stop showing up to your class. Your professor doesn't really know what to do with you, so they give you a WU. Professors here do not drop you. You know, like at community college, if you don't show up the first day, the professor drops you, right? That doesn't happen here. Professors won't drop you, so they'll give you a WU instead. That way it's like an F on your transcript. So if you're gonna drop your classes, drop your classes.
There's also the I grade, which stands for incomplete. And what that is that let's say you're going to classes for like 14, 15 weeks, and like family emergency happens or medical emergency and you just can't go to class anymore. You'll talk to your professors to talk to them like, hey, can I have an incomplete in your class? Professors know what they are, and they'll talk to you like on a one-on-one basis, like when could you make up this class? You have 1 year to make up the class. And usually it's just like taking that final or turning in that paper. If it's earlier than that, like week 10 or 11, your professor may tell you like, no, you can't have an incomplete, you'll have to take a W. But yeah, it all depends on the professor. I've heard of professors giving incompletes at week 11.
So next thing I'm going to talk about is this bottom green box on page 25, which is FERPA, the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act of 1974. Basically what this says is as students, you have the right to privacy of your records. If you need anybody else to have access to your records, you need to fill out a form to give permission. Sounds good? Awesome.
So page 28 and 29. So course registration. Your registration will open today after our last presentation right before registration. You all have a hold on your account right now, so you can't register until the last presentation. Once that hold is off, you can register up until January 16th. And then on January 16th, it'll close for all students, and then you won't be able to register for classes anymore, but that doesn't necessarily mean you can't add classes still. You can still go crash classes, talk to professors, get professors to add you into classes. After January 16th, you just can't add classes on your own unless the professor has it open on the center. It's like a lot of nitty-gritty stuff about course registration. We will be helping you register today, and it'll be open until January 16th. That's like the most important thing, because then if your schedule isn't perfect today, we're gonna try to make it perfect, but if it's not, you still have a week, 2 weeks to figure it out and stuff.
You'll see January 17th through the 20th. That's no registration, and you'll see waitlists delete. Okay? This is something different than community college. Our waitlists don't mean anything once school semester starts. Okay? The waitlists are just a mechanical way or electronic way for the system to funnel you into courses. Okay? So that means that Thursday before courses begin, repeat that, the Thursday before courses begin, that's when your waitlist will delete. That means you won't know what room your class is in, what time it's at, what section it was. So you'll need to make sure that you document your position on the wait list, for example, especially if you're like number 2 or 3 or 1, make sure that you're documenting your position because not all professors go by the wait list, but some do. Does that make sense? And this is just a unique thing once you come to university, that's how the cookie crumbles, okay? Sound good? Page 30, if you ever forget how to register, that's like a quick way that'll show you how to register. Page 31 is about fee payment. Page 31 is about fee payment. I am not a financial aid advisor, so I can't tell you specific questions, but I can tell you that if you take 6 units or less, you're going to be paying this first number, which is $24.78. If you take more than 6 units, read, if you're taking 7 units or 18 units, you're still paying $36.84. Okay. There is a date at which your registration will be due. Or your tuition, pardon. Your tuition will be due. However, if you have financial aid, you'll see in your hold section that you have a fee deferment. That is not a hold. That will not prevent you from registering. That just tells you that you have a financial aid pending coming. Sounds good?
So going on to page 32 and 33 and 34, those are all of our clubs and organizations on campus. I would kind of thumb through those at the same time that you're going back to read the President's Welcome. Those are kind of like, they'll have tables on the first 2 weeks of school. Not every organization will, but you can still reach out to those organizations to say like, hey, are you accepting any new members? And you will hear it from like everyone today about like getting involved and all that. You keep hearing like getting involved, it'll make your experience so great. And like, we're not lying, but you may not believe us until you actually do get involved and like experience the difference it makes to your college experience. So that's my little spiel on getting involved. I encourage all of you to get involved. At least maybe talk to some of these tables. Next step after orientation. So there is the mandatory sexual assault and alcohol awareness. And that has to be done before March 15th, you will get a hold on your account if it's not done by then, and it'll affect your fall registration. So I would say get it done sooner rather than later, because also on March 15th, the system will crash from how many students are trying to do it. So try to get that done.
The next one is please submit proof of your immunization records to our Student Health Services Center, which is located in our wellness center on our campus. You do need to do that because, again, they'll put a hold on your record if you don't do that. Does that sound good?
And then lastly, this little page, campus safety. We have our own police station on campus, which is by the parking structure 3, and they have their own police number, which is 916-278-6000. You don't have to memorize it. It's right here on the bottom. But it is easy to memorize because all of our campus numbers start with 278, and 6000 is the address. So 278-6000. It's good to know that because if there ever was an emergency on campus, if you called 911 off of your cell phone, it'll go to like Sac County, then they'll direct it to Sacramento State Campus Police. However, if you call 911 on any of these campus phones, it'll go straight to our campus police. They also do non-emergencies, so they can jump your car, they can get your keys out of your car if you lock them in there, and there was something else. Oh, and they can do escorts to your car. So if it's like really late at night and you don't want to walk to your car alone, they can escort you to your car.
Okay, so that is what I have to say about the handbook portion of this book. Remember that this is a planner as well, so feel free to use it throughout the semester. Please keep this book too because there's a lot of answers in here about what to do.